So I actually started, I knew Diane Cox really well, and she was involved with Ritz #2. And I think that one might have been the Copacabana theme. I cannot remember exactly. But then Ritz #3 rolled around, and Becca was the executive director. And she asked me to help start designing the invitations. We used to sit in front of a computer and work together and design the invitations around the prom themes. And I think that they talked about that a little bit. And so that was for a lot of years. And a lot of years, all I did was the invitations. I didn't even go to the event. But I'll tell you, one of the most terrifying experiences was when I had to come and present the invitation to the Board of Trustees. I was absolutely terrified. I thought, I know all these people and I'm afraid of you. But they were so kind, and we, it was the first time I had to go in person. And then more and more happened, and I started helping with the Ritz, more so than just the invitations, and helping us do the auction and grow the auction. And we went from, I think, 10 or 12 items on a table in the front hallway where we took pictures to what it is today. And so I was pregnant with my son, and it was the fall of 2002, and Jennings was due in early 2003, and Hewitt Fulton came and asked me to serve on the board. Well, nobody really tells Hewitt no. And so I said, well, Hewitt, look at me. And I was big early when I was pregnant. And he said, well, you can miss one meeting. And guess what? I missed one meeting. I missed the February meeting. Was back at that meeting in March. But it's been a really great journey. And then in 2011, I did take the role on as executive director and served in that role until March of 22. Literally, it takes an army of people, and people that are dedicated. We had experiences where one Friday evening at 7:30, the fire marshal was saying, you're not having an event tomorrow if you don't get this certain fire extinguisher. And you have people like Ray McDaniel, who looked at me with tears in my face saying, go home, I'll handle this. And the next day there was a fire extinguisher, and we had our fire certificate, and we could have the event. There are myriad of things when I say that it took an army. But I don't think there was any one thing that I did personally. I think that it was really more about a team that worked together, board members, community volunteers, and from the ground up. They would do the work of helping with getting the silent auction items, helping with sponsorships, helping call people to get them to do raffle tickets or other tickets. It's really mostly about the relationships. A lot of the relationships are so strong, and people had a dedication to it. I think it was Mike Vincent who came up with a Gala of Giving, and that really did turn the corner. And that was during Becca's tenure as executive director. Like I said, they all kind of sometimes run together, but I think it was Mike that came up with the let's really get away from focusing on a party first and a fundraiser second, and flip-flop that. And it made an impact. I think people look at it as a way to raise money for a very, very good organization in our community and be thankful for the healthcare that we have here. I'll give you an example of a fun story of people pitching in and helping. Event night, somebody comes to find me and says, there's a table out here that says there's supposed to be a table of 12, and they're guests of somebody who we didn't think were coming. And I said, okay, well, we'll work through this. Give me just 1 minute. And I don't know why or how, but there was an extra table that seated 12 out behind the tent. And people stepped up and were pulling pulling the table in. Ray went and found one of the flower arrangements from off of one of the auction tables. The staff with Morrison's all were grabbing tablecloths and putting it together, and I'm not sure that the people knew the table wasn't ready when they got there. We just had to do a little zhuzhing. But it really is about, they stepped up and helped, and it was amazing, and the people came and sat down and had a wonderful time. The Fund a Need grew every year. pretty significantly year after year. We were able to have, we weren't able to do it. The people did it. The community stepped up, and you know, I used to sit next to somebody from the Lawrenceburg Exchange, and she'd look at me. She said, "You're crying again, aren't you?" Yes, I am, because of I'm just so grateful for people's generosity, and it's just amazing what this community does when it pulls together.
Yeah.
It truly, truly is amazing what this community does when it pulls together. In 2011, Chuck Hicks passed away just days before the Ritz. I'm gonna cry saying it. And I had started in February, and here we were in November, my first year doing this as executive director, and somebody dear to so many people connected to the healthcare system, connected to the foundation. It was just really devastating. And at that time, we had a Friday night event for underwriters, and we had it out at Scotch Meadows. And every one of those people showed up that were his good friends. See? They all showed up. And that's part of what this is about, is that people believe in this community and they believe in it. But you know, here they are, and grieving the loss of somebody very dear to them. They show up Friday night. They show up Saturday night. I'm just have been eternally grateful to the people that brought this all together. You know, Becca had amazing people that when she worked with them, and that they stayed and they stayed and they stayed for years. It's like, you can go off the board for a year, but then you're coming back.
Yeah.
And there were some good things about that, but it's really great to see the board changing too. You know, it's good to see people bringing in some other faces and from our sister communities. You know, Mike Vinson said something one year about our communities, and we were at a function, I think, in Marlborough County, and he said, you know, that dotted line that separates the states, he said it's not a separation, it's the thread sewn that draws us together.